This is Trong Nguyen. With more than 20 years of experience in sales, I honed my craft at Digital Equipment Corporation, now HP, IBM, Dell, and Microsoft, and currently work with ServiceNow. I've actually been on Scott's podcast twice. First in episode 25, and again in episode 46. I've also written 2 books of my own, Winning the Cloud and Winning the Bank. Here's story number 14. I'm 6'4" and devilishly handsome by Trong Nguyen. When you talk to sales managers or the VP of sales, they always ask the same questions. Do you have relationships with the CXO? What's your relationship with the CXO? How can you close that deal without the CXO's support? These questions are not wrong. I just don't think they're very helpful. If they just pivot a little bit, the whole conversation changes. What I would ask is, how can we develop relationships with the CXO? When you start asking that question, it invariably lends itself to deeper thought and introspection. Most sales reps take a very binary approach to relationships. They are on or off. They either have these relationships or they don't, at least in their minds. Invariably, this perspective leads them down a linear approach to addressing the issue at hand. If they don't have a relationship with the CXO, then they go out of their way to build that relationship directly. They invite the CXO to social events, dinners, and whatever else they can in the hopes that these bonding moments will lead to future sales. Direct strategies are useful in certain situations, but not all of them. I would submit that there may be better ways to build these executive relationships. Instead of going at it head on, I want to provide you with a framework in which to think about how you can develop and influence your relationships. This framework is applicable in your personal life as well as in your business life. It's applicable whether you are a customer-facing sales representative or if your work function is internal-facing. In the 1960s, industrial psychologists David Merrill and Roger Reed did an extensive study around the dimensions of assertiveness and responsiveness. From that study, they came up with a 2x2 matrix outlining 4 social styles: analytical, driving, expressive, and amiable. When I first read the study, I wept for days. I was overcome with joy. Forget SpaceX or Tesla, this revelation was akin to Elon Musk harnessing his brilliance in physics and engineering to find a way of creating hickory-smoked bacon out of thin air. Here's the practical application of this theory. Step 1. Perform a personality analysis on the CXO, senior executive, or any person you want to build a relationship with, and then place them in one of the 4 quadrants. Step 2. Then, look at all the people that influence that person. Perform a personality analysis on those people and place them in the appropriate quadrants. Step 3. Now think about all of the people that influence the people that influence the client. Do a personality analysis on those people and place them into the right quadrants. Step 4. Complete a relationship alignment exercise. Find the right people in your organization to connect to all of those people you have identified and start building up those relationships. Here's the execution of the process in its visual form. There's an image here in the print or ebook version of the book that you can find at Top 1 FM audio notes, all in one word. Over time, what you have essentially done is executed a complete surround strategy. The main reason why this strategy works is that you are not dependent on one person for success or failure. In our highly matrix world, decisions are made by committees or groups of people. That's why this strategy has been so successful over time. I was working with a global manufacturing company based in Chicago, and I executed this strategy to build the right relationships with the global CIO. Along the way, I had built relationships with the VP of Architecture, SVP of Operations, SVP of Infrastructure, etc. It took me 6 months and I hadn't spent any time with the global CIO at all. Instead of shooting for the moon right away, I first built a ladder to the clouds. By now, I had solved numerous complex issues for this company and had built up my brand as a creative problem solver and Mr. Fix-It. It didn't matter if you had hardware issues, software issues, or more. With some duct tape, vinegar, and a pair of chopsticks, I could make MacGyver look bad. I completely influenced those who would influence the global CIO. With my reputation now in the bag, I asked the Chief Technology Officer to introduce me to the global CIO. When I went into the meeting, she said something to me that I will never forget. She said, "Trong, after all the great stories I had heard about you, I just pictured you'd be 6'4" and devilishly handsome." I told her I was. It was the start of an enduring and beneficial relationship. Lessons learned. Developing senior executive relationships takes time. Focus on strategies that develop these long-term relationships. Like all relationships, trust is earned, and it is earned over time. If an executive tells you how powerful they are in the company, they aren't. The only ones that tell you that are the insecure ones who aren't the real decision makers. Einstein didn't have to go around telling people how smart he was. You just knew. Be genuine and authentic. Smart people will see right through people who aren't genuine. If you don't like sports, don't pretend to be a sports fan just to impress a customer. Find some other common ground to build a relationship on. Influence those who would influence the relationships you want to develop. Perform a personality analysis to understand the person you want to develop a relationship with so that you understand their motivations and what makes them tick. Use multiple approaches for building relationships. These include direct, indirect, and surround strategies. Focus on adding value, as that will be the foundation for long-term relationships. Network and build relationships well before you need them. When the time comes, they will be more open to helping you. Integrity is a non-negotiable. Work with only people of integrity. Steer clear of those people who are morally ambiguous. Leadership styles and approaches change over time. A leader who was good for a particular time and situation may not be suited to other circumstances.